Max Steel, 2016, movie synopsis by Zillur Movies Recapped. Teenager Max McGrath moves with his mother Molly to the town of Copper Canyon, where he had been born and where his father Jim McGrath had died in a supposed storm. In his first few days at school, he realizes that almost everyone in town knows more about Jim than he does because his mother refuses to talk about Jim's past or death. During dinner with Jim's friend Miles Edwards, Max learns that his father worked for N-Tech, an advanced research company now run by Miles. Concurrently after arriving, Max discovers he emits a unique form of tachyonic energy called turbo, which is powerful enough to overload any electrical item, but he has no control over when he emits this energy. After sensing an oncoming overload during a date with Sophia, Max encounters an amnesiac alien creature named Steel who symbiotically bonds with Max to absorb the energy. Finding themselves being chased by mysterious men, Max takes Steel to his high school to hide and finds himself opening up emotionally to him for the first time in his life. Max learns to control and harness his powers, including linking with Steel to form a suit of armor. Whilst linked, Max starts to see his father's life through flashbacks shared with Steel and learns that an alien race called the Ultralinks with the power to manipulate the elements launched an attack on N-Tech. In search of answers, Max goes to visit Miles at N-Tech, who explains that Jim was working on creating a generator capable of creating an unlimited source of power, and suggests that Jim died in an accident caused by not following safety procedures. Feeling another energy spike, Max finds solace but is soon caught in a powerful storm, which he realizes is an Ultralink. Working together, Max and Steel defeat the Ultralink and to their shock, find it looks identical to Steel. Another flashback hints that Steel was responsible for Jim's death, causing Max to lash out at Steel and walk away. Max discovers Molly is missing, and borrowing Sophia's car, calls Miles who reveals he is aware of the Ultralinks, and that Molly was kidnapped as a trap for Max at the old N-Tech facility where Jim died. Max goes to the facility and finds Steel captured, where he has a flashback that shows the truth, who reveals that Jim McGrath was an alien who naturally generated turbo, and Steel was his partner. The power generator was a machine designed to harness and focus his natural energy. However, Miles became addicted to infusing the turbo into himself for the power it gave him, and allied with the Ultralinks to absorb Jim's energy for himself. Jim overloads the core, but his final words are telling Steel to find and protect Max at all costs. Miles entraps Max, having created a suit of armor that drains turbo, seeking to harvest his tachyonic energy for himself. Learning to use his armored form as Max Steel, Max fights Miles aided by the mysterious men, revealed to be an N-Tech Special Forces squad who were working for Miles to find Steel, but are now working for Molly, as majority shareholder of the company. Working together, Max and Steel generate so much energy that Miles is unable to absorb it, overloading him in a massive explosion. Molly reveals that after Jim's death, she feared the Ultralinks would come after Max, so she constantly moved until Miles suggested they move back to Copper Canyon in case Max started to emit turbo. Max apologizes to Sophia for his behavior and makes a date for that night, and then goes for a fly in the armor with Steel's assistance. Max Steel is a 2016 superhero film based on the eponymous action figure line by Mattel, which was co-produced by its Playground Productions division with Dolphin Films and Ingenious Media. Open Road Films released the film theatrically on October 14, 2016 in the United States, whilst IM Global handles its European and Asian distribution. Directed by Stuart Hendler and written by Christopher Yost, the film stars Ben Winchell, Josh Breener, Anna Villafañe, Andy Garcia, Maria Bello, and Billy Slaughter. The film chronicles the adventures of teenaged Max McGrath, Winchell, and alien companion Steel, Breener, who combine their powers to form the superhero Max Steel. Filming began on April 29, 2014, in Wilmington, North Carolina and concluded in late May 2014. It was released to critical and box office failure, grossing $6.3 million globally and overall against a budget of $5 million to $10 million. I was a big Max Steel fan when I was young, so when I first heard it was being adapted into live-action movie I was thrilled. However, years passed by and I kept hearing it was put on hold. By the time it finally came out, I was already into young adulthood and could care less, so I never saw it. Scrolling through IMDb today looking for something to watch, I came across it and decided to give it a try finally. While I did like, not love, the movie, I couldn't help but be slightly disappointed by the time credits rolled around. In my opinion, I did like the cast. There was bunch of big-name actors in this, who I think did pretty good job with what they were given. I was also impressed by some of the special effects and did find the movie comical in points. Also, without giving too much away, the climatic fight scene was good. However, with all that said, things like the extremely lackluster character development, dragged-out pacing, and also at times too kid-friendly approach were just huge turnoffs that only the most hardcore of fans can ignore. I also believe this movie suffered from just having such low budget and being limited on what can be done. I personally wouldn't recommend this film to anyone who isn't fan, as I think they'd be thoroughly confused and utterly disappointed. Anyone who is definitely enjoy, but that don't go in with high hopes. Although Max Steel is officially based on a toy line put out by Mattel, a fact I'm sure discouraged a lot of people from seeing the movie, it actually has a strong vibe of the 1997 family movie, Star Kid. That movie was kind of fun, but Max Steel is anything but. What went wrong? Well, most of the problems can be found in the screenplay written by Christopher L. Yost. For starters, there almost seems to be an intent to keep the audience mystified and confused from start to finish. A little mystery in a movie like this is okay, but right from the beginning the movie keeps the audience in the dark about a lot of plot points. While the core of the mystery is, sort of, eventually explained, at the end there are still a lot of unanswered questions. Why Max doesn't just ask some key characters some good questions much earlier doesn't make sense, and as a result the character comes across as quite unbelievable. For that matter, none of the other characters are believable as well. I could go on for some time about this, but it would be redundant. Though I will add that the fact that the character of Steel is not only unbelievable, but comes across as extremely annoying, coming across as a slightly more coherent stoner. Those simply looking for stuff like eye candy and action will probably be let down. I admit the entire package, including the special effects, don't look too bad for a movie with a somewhat low budget, but there are no really exceptional visuals. Also, there is not only little action, but director Stuart Hendler pretty much saps all the potential excitement these action scenes could have had. If Open Road Films releases more bombs like this, they won't be open for too much longer. I like this movie. Yes, it has humor, action, and of course love the whole package. Clearly it's not for everyone. But then again, what is? It's such a stupid sounding, hipster kind of statement. Tell me one movie that is for everyone. Then you can have my Ferrari anytime. If I have one. Man, I love the fact that it's just plain old feel-good action movie with humor. And the idea of what you can do with this kind of tachyon energy. And well, if this was a pilot, I would love to see how much more they can do with this concept. Mattel is clearly the underdog here. So if you think it's a big commercial for these toys, well, it's a toy from 1997. Then they are not really doing a great job selling these things in 2016. So, stop talking about, it's not for everyone, and it's a Mattel commercial. Because I think more people will like this movie. I actually enjoyed this. After reading a few reviews, I expected it to be really slow and boring, but was pleasantly surprised. Sure, it took a little longer going places than some of the rushed non-stop explosion fests available, but that's why I liked it. It felt like it was its own film and not just a carbon copy of all other superhero-style films out there. It actually took time to build a sense of mystery and develop the characters rather than just rushing from one plot point to the next. I felt like I got to know the main character and was intrigued to see more of the movie universe, unlike many forgettable action, sci-fi movies out there. If you go into the film expecting non-stop action sequences, go watch The Avengers. If you want something with a little mystery and gradual exploration of that mystery, watch this. I just saw Max Steel. It's not a masterpiece. It's very predictable, very CGI driven, and not always thought out all the way through. And still, It's a very charming coming-of-age story with the sci-fi comics element serving as an enhancement of teenage issues. So the coming-of-age problems of finding who you really are, who are your parents and who are your friends, all get extra dimensions. The moment you see this movie, and the comics it's based on under this light, you'll enjoy it much more. The action scenes arriving mostly toward the end of the movie are more of a plot device accelerating the pace of the story while still making sense inside the world constructed in the movie. This way we get to the very predictable conclusion in a reasonable time and without wasting long minutes on some more identity crisis and teenage angst. Technically it's all very professional. The actors do their share. Most of them don't shine too brightly but they all get the job done. If you don't expect something else, you'll get some cute fun. Max Steel, 2.5 stars, out of 5. A sci-fi action movie, based on the popular Mattel toy series. It tells the story of a teenager, and an alien, that merge their powers together in order to become a superhero named Max Steel. The film was directed by Stuart Hendler, who's also directed the sci-fi TV shows, Halo 4, Forward Unto Dawn, based on the popular video game, and H+, co-produced by Bryan Singer. It was written by Christopher Yost, who's also co-written Thor, The Dark World, the upcoming Thor, Ragnarok, and multiple animated TV series. The film stars Ben Winchell, Anna Villafane, Maria Bello, Andy Garcia and the voice of Josh Breener. It's received almost unanimous negative reviews from critics, and it bombed at the box office. I think it's a decent kids movie, but it's definitely nothing special. Max McGrath, Winchell, is a teenager that just moved to a new town, again, with his mother, Bello. At the same time, he's discovering he can generate enormous energy. He's also attracted the attention of a local girl, Villafane, in the new town, and the attraction is definitely mutual. When an alien, named Steel, Breener, introduces itself, things become even more complicated. The film is the type of movie that I would have probably loved as a little kid, so I definitely can't be too hard on it. I even kind of enjoyed it, as an adult, because it reminds me of the type of movies I really liked as a kid. Yes, it's cheesy and generic, but it's kind of fun. Development and early attempt to create a Max Steel film occurred in December 2009 when Paramount Pictures purchased the rights to the franchise. Taylor Lautner was an early choice for the starring role, although he later dropped out due to commitment to the Stretch Armstrong film. In January 2013, production was suspended when Max Steel was developed into a television series of the same name, airing later that year. In August 2013, plans for a new film adaptation resumed with Mattel partnering with Dolphin Entertainment to fund the film. In February 2014, Ben Winchell and Anna Villafane were cast as Max McGrath and Sofia Martinez, respectively. That same month, the press officially confirmed Andy Garcia's casting as Dr. Miles Edwards. 16. In May 2014, Maria Bello and Mike Doyle joined the cast as Molly and Jim McGrath, Max's parents. Filming principal photography commenced on April 29, 2014, in Wilmington, North Carolina and ended on May 31, 2014. Box office Max Steel grossed $3.8 million in the United States and Canada and $2.5 million in other countries, for a worldwide total of $6.3 million, against a production budget of $5-10 million. Max Steel opened on October 14, 2016, alongside The Accountant and Kevin Hart. What Now? And was expected to gross $5-7 million from 2,034 theaters in its opening weekend. 20. After grossing just $637,795 on its first day, the film went on to open to $2.2 million, finishing 11th at the box office. 21. In its second weekend, the film grossed $680,104, finishing 17th at the box office, making it a box office bomb. Critical response on Rotten Tomatoes. The film has a approval rating of 0% based on 21 reviews, with an average rating of 2.7/10. The site's critics' consensus states, bereft of characterization or even satisfying rock'em sock'em, Max Steel feels like futzing with an action figure without any childhood imagination. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score 22 out of 100, based on reviews from 7 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Audiences surveyed by CinemaScore gave the film a grade of B on an A+ to F scale. IGN critic Alex Welch gave the film a score of 4 out of 10, summarizing his review with, "Max Steel is one of the more forgettable and pointless attempts at a superhero franchise in the current post-MCU Hollywood market, lacking any of the originality or vibrance that could give it even a remote shot at a successful future." 8. Variety. Joe Layton gave a negative review, describing it as a half-baked, time-wasting curtain raiser for a superhero franchise that is never, ever going to happen. Christy Lemire for RogerEbert.com gave half a star out of 4, writing, "For a movie about developing the greatest energy source in the universe, Max Steel is surprisingly bland, and that a movie based on a toy should be a whole lot more fun than this." 10. The Hollywood Reporter critic Frank Scheck gave an unfavorable review, writing, "Even tweens may find themselves underwhelmed by the new live-action film based on what, for many of them, may be their favorite Mattel action figure." Delivering a bland cinematic origin story which seems calculated to boost Christmas toy sales, Max Steel as a stillborn would-be franchise starter, sneaked into multiplexes without advance critic screenings.